This vacation home is exclusively for my parents. I won't let your parents use it. I was dumbfounded by my husband's remarks. He had nonchalantly purchased $1 million vacation home, and now I finally understood what this was all about. His motives were clear, and I had reached the end of my tether. Fine, I said coldly, glaring at him. But you're going to regret this. You know I won't, he replied smugly, crossing his arms with a self-satisfied grin. Don't ever show your face to me again. If that's how he wanted it, then so be it. I wouldn't hold back anymore. I would make sure he regretted every bit of this. My name is Kathy. I married my husband, Robert, 4 years ago. Since then, we've been living together peacefully, or so I thought. Neither of us had any extravagant hobbies, so our savings grew steadily over the years. If I had to name one indulgence we shared, it would be our weekend coffee ritual. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, we would grind fresh beans and enjoy a quiet moment together over a steaming cup of coffee. One such morning, as I handed Robert his freshly brewed cup, I brought up something on my mind. Your mom's birthday is coming up soon, isn't it? I asked. Robert and I are both in our mid-30s. His parents were turning 60 this year, a year ahead of mine. I wanted to do something meaningful. How about we treat them to a spa retreat for their birthdays? I suggested. It would be a lovely memory for them. That might be a good idea, he replied after taking a thoughtful sip. I'll ask my parents if they have anything specific in mind. If not, we can go with the spa idea. 2 birds with 1 stone, right? I raised an eyebrow. I didn't mean it like that. He chuckled. I know. Just joking. Next time you see them, talk to them about it, I said with a smile. Meanwhile, I'll start researching some good spa options. Got it, he replied. You know, maybe we could go on a trip too. It would be nice to get away. 2 weeks passed. My mother-in-law's birthday was quickly approaching, and I realized we hadn't made any reservations yet. Hey, I said urgently, we need to make a reservation soon. At this rate, we won't even make it in time for your father's birthday. Robert looked unbothered. Oh, did I not tell you? I already asked them what they wanted, so it's all taken care of. What? Really? Then what did they say they wanted? I asked, eager to help choose the gift. But instead of answering, Robert gave me a dismissive look. I'll handle everything. It's my parents' 60th birthday, so you don't need to get involved, Kathy. His words stung. He had never brushed me off like this before. That's not a very nice way to put it, I said, my voice trembling. Why won't you tell me? We've always chosen gifts together for both our families. We had always collaborated on birthday presents, anniversaries, and holiday gifts. Why was this time different, especially for such an important milestone? My frustration grew. I'm not someone who easily raises her voice. I'm usually mild-mannered and try to avoid conflict. But Robert remained firm in his decision. In the end, he never told me what his parents wanted. Since that day, things between us grew cold. We only spoke about necessary matters. Even our beloved coffee mornings were now silent and heavy with tension. The day before my mother-in-law's birthday, Robert broke the silence. We're going out tomorrow to celebrate Mom's 60th. Get ready, Kathy. We're staying overnight, so make sure you pack. I've taken care of everything. His sudden announcement sent me into a panic. What? Where are we going? If we're staying overnight, you should have told me earlier. I have so much to prepare. I just told you, didn't I? He said with a smirk. You're going to be surprised. In stark contrast to my stress, Robert was in high spirits. The next morning, we left early and picked up my in-laws. From the moment they got into the car, they were bubbling with excitement. I'm so thrilled, my mother-in-law exclaimed. I never imagined I'd get to celebrate my birthday like this. Thank you so much. Yes, really, thank you both, my father-in-law added warmly. Robert, Kathy, you're too kind. I smiled politely, but inside, I felt awkward. I hadn't been involved at all in choosing the gift, yet I was receiving their gratitude. Then, unexpectedly, Robert turned to them and said, Really, it's all thanks to Kathy. I blinked. Was he backing me up? His words caught me off guard, but I was genuinely touched by his consideration. Maybe things between us were starting to mend. Maybe we could go back to the way we used to be. For the first time in weeks, I felt my heart lighten. I decided to stop worrying and just enjoy the journey. After a scenic drive, we arrived at a stunning log cabin nestled in the woods. The entrance was grand, and the living room featured massive glass walls that allowed sunlight to pour in, giving the space a warm, natural glow. The cabin was surrounded by towering trees, blending harmoniously with nature. It had 3 cozy bedrooms and even a luxurious hot tub in the bathroom. "We're staying here?" I gasped. "It's so beautiful." I turned to Robert, smiling for the first time in days. "This place is amazing. I never imagined you'd pick something like this. Honestly, I don't think I could have found a spot this perfect." I paused, looking into his eyes. "Leaving it to you was the right choice. I'm sorry for how irritable I've been lately." The moment Robert unlocked the cabin and we stepped inside, his excitement skyrocketed. "I still can't believe how beautiful this place is," he exclaimed. Then he blurted out something completely unexpected. "It's no biggie. I wouldn't have been able to buy such a cabin if I were on my own. It's because of Kathy that I was able to buy it." "What?" I stared at him, utterly speechless. My mind froze. What is he talking about? As I stood there, my head spinning with confusion, my in-laws joined the conversation. "Thank you so much, Kathy," my mother-in-law said warmly. "We never thought we'd get such a beautiful cabin." "Right," my father-in-law added. "We were thinking about setting up a new home once we turned 60. We even considered living together with you two at one point, but remember? We decided not to." That was true. From the beginning of our marriage, my in-laws had suggested the idea of living together someday. But back then, I had gently declined. Robert and I were still in the early stages of our marriage, and his parents were in good health. I had wanted time for just the two of us before adding another layer to our living situation. Robert had agreed with me at the time. We decided that when his parents began to have trouble living on their own, we'd revisit the idea. But I never expected them to ask for a whole new home as a birthday present, especially not something as extravagant as this cabin. Trying to keep my panic in check, I turned to Robert. "This is a joke, right?" I asked. "There's no way we could afford to buy such a lovely place. What's the point of springing a surprise like this on me? It's your mom's birthday. The surprise should be for her, not me." "It's not a joke," he replied flatly. "This is a real cabin. We bought it." "What?" Everything around me blurred. I felt like the ground had slipped from beneath my feet. "It really worked out," Robert went on cheerfully. "They told me I couldn't get a mortgage based on just my income, so I went for a joint mortgage instead. It was a good decision." "Hold on a minute," I shouted, panic giving way to fury. "I didn't hear anything about this before." "I just told you," he said casually. "And it's not bad for you, Kathy, is it? You just said it's a lovely cabin. It's ours." "That's not the issue," I said, barely containing my anger. "How much did this vacation home cost you?" Robert, now slightly sheepish, answered as if it were nothing. "1 million. I staggered. "What? $1 million? "Yeah. It's my parents' 60th birthday. I thought we'd splurge a little." The figure left me dizzy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But then, as if things weren't already bad enough, he dropped another bombshell. "We couldn't get a loan for $1 million property with both our names, so I used all the money we've been saving since our marriage from our joint account as the down payment." I stood there, numb. My mind went blank. I couldn't even summon the strength to argue. How could he make such a huge decision, such a life-altering decision, without ever consulting me? And yet, Robert looked entirely unaffected, almost amused. "Well, it's already bought," he said with a shrug. "Nothing can be done about it now. And besides, I took into account your wish not to live together with my parents. Isn't that good enough? In this vacation home, they can stay comfortably, and we can enjoy our time here, too. It'll make vacations more fun, don't you think?" His carefree attitude was utterly exasperating. But now that it had come to this, there really wasn't anything I could do. The home was beautiful, and yes, maybe it would bring some joy to our lives. "Fine," I said quietly. It's already bought, so there's nothing to be done. But you could have at least consulted me. My voice was low, but the word struck him. He finally smiled and laughed. That's more like it. I should have talked to you, yeah. I'm sorry. I just wanted it to be a surprise for you too. You're quite something, Kathy. Despite the deception, I tried to convince myself to look on the bright side. At least we now had a gorgeous vacation home. Robert had gotten a joint mortgage using both our names and our savings, but thankfully, we had no large upcoming expenses. I also earned significantly more than Robert and had my own separate savings. Trying to feel at peace with it, I decided to enjoy the celebration. My mother-in-law's birthday was a success, and the 2-day stay at the cabin was luxurious and peaceful. When we returned home, I brewed our usual coffee, sat back, and reflected on the villa. Despite everything, the place was truly splendid. The living room had a charming wood-burning stove, perfect for cozy winter nights. Feeling optimistic, I smiled and asked Robert, "Hey, when are we going back to the villa? I want to get some new dishes for the kitchen there." "Yeah, I'll check with my parents," he replied.
What?
"Can't we go by ourselves?" "Well, the villa is technically in both our names, but it was a present for my parents' 60th anniversary. It'd be wrong to go if they already have plans." A chill crept down my spine. Even though the property was in both our names, I was starting to feel like it wasn't really mine at all. Trying to reassure myself, I said, "Since it's our villa, we can invite my parents too, right?" "Yeah, if they're available," he answered, without much emotion. He didn't outright say no, so I breathed a small sigh of relief. Maybe I was just overthinking things. But I wasn't. That hope turned out to be far too optimistic. For the next 6 months, I wasn't allowed to stay overnight at the villa. Not even once. Whenever I went there, it was only to drop off my in-laws. I'd prepare meals for them, clean the space, and then drive back home alone. The next day, I'd return, clean up again, and drive them back. This became my routine, their routine for the past 6 months. Despite my efforts and quiet frustrations, nothing changed. Every time I tried to bring it up, Robert would deflect. I was treated more like the caretaker of the villa than one of its owners. And through it all, I couldn't help but ask myself, was this still my life? Or had it become someone else's dream, built on the foundation of my silence? For months, every time I brought up visiting the villa, Robert had some excuse. Sometimes he'd even raise his voice at me. I had put up with it. I'd bit my tongue. But today, I wasn't giving up. I emphasized the word our, hoping, pleading, for him to acknowledge it. But his response was the same as always. Dismissive. If my parents don't have plans, then maybe. Again. Always the same excuse. I was reaching my limit. We haven't stayed at the villa once since we bought it 6 months ago. It's always your parents who get priority. What about us? What about my parents? I'm paying the mortgage too. I even contributed to the down payment. My family should be able to enjoy it as well. This time I didn't back down. I raised my voice and stood my ground. That's when Robert's expression turned cold. He frowned and said something I'll never forget. "Shut up. That vacation house is for my parents only. I won't let your parents use it." The words hit me like a slap across the face. So that was his plan all along. Now it all made sense. Why he bought the property in secret, why he used our joint savings, why he never consulted me. Something inside me snapped. The tolerance I had shown, the patience, the compromise, shattered with a silent crack in my heart. "I'll never forgive you for this," I said, my voice low but firm. "Don't think you can get away with such selfish behavior." Then, with all the calm I could muster, I delivered my next words.
Fine.
"If that's how it is, I won't hold back anymore. Let's get a divorce." "What the hell?" he barked, stunned. "You're such a petty woman." He paused for a moment, then scoffed. "Well, whatever. My parents are grateful I bought that vacation home for them. My mom's already doing the housework, so I won't be in trouble without you." He crossed his arms with a smug, self-satisfied expression. "Of course, if we're getting a divorce, I won't let you use the vacation house." Still okay with that. It was clear he thought he'd won. That I'd crawl back. That I needed him. But he was wrong. I leaned in slightly and lowered my voice, locking eyes with him. You sure about this? You're going to regret it. Like hell. He didn't respond. It's settled then, I said. Don't ever show your face in front of me again. The next day, I filed for divorce. The paperwork was processed quickly. There were no arguments, no fights. Just a cold, clinical end. I packed what I needed and returned to my parents' house on foot. I didn't even take the car. I didn't want anything that reminded me of Robert or the life I'd shared with him. Months passed. Then, one day, a call came in on my parents' home phone. It was Robert. Is that you, Kathy? He stammered. What do you want? I replied flatly. We have nothing left to talk about. He sounded panicked. I tried calling your cell. Why didn't you pick up? Some guy claiming to be your lawyer showed up at my house today. Hey, this is something you asked for, right? Can you at least explain it to me? I stayed quiet for a moment, then said coolly, What don't you understand? It's exactly as your lawyer told you. Since we're divorced, I have no intention of paying the mortgage anymore. And if you don't cooperate, I'm considering selling the vacation house. That's all. But it's in both our names, he shouted. Even if we're divorced, it's only natural for you to keep paying, right? His voice was desperate. I took a deep breath, then replied, Despite the house being in both our names, I'm not allowed to use it, right? So why should I keep paying for something that benefits only your family? He fell silent. It doesn't make sense to me either, I added. That's why I asked a lawyer. And if you keep pushing, I'll hang up. If you have anything else to say, speak to my lawyer. I'm done wasting my time on someone so unreasonable. I have a business to run. Wait, hold on. I messed up, okay? He cried. Let's use the villa alternately. That's fair, right? Please. I chuckled bitterly. So let me get this straight. You want me to keep paying the mortgage, and in return, you'll allow me to use the villa in turns? There was a pause. I'm not interested. I have no attachment to that place anymore. What? I already bought a new vacation home, I said simply. A cozy little cottage. Nothing extravagant, but my parents love it. It was my gift to them for their 60th birthday. I could almost hear his jaw drop on the other end. You what? That $1 million villa meant nothing to me the moment you told me I couldn't invite my own parents. I've moved on, Robert. You should do the same. But I quit my job, he cried out in a panic. I know that. What? What am I supposed to do now? I didn't respond. I didn't owe him anything. He made his choice. He thought I'd be there to clean up the mess forever. He was wrong. And as I hung up the phone, I realized I hadn't just escaped a bad marriage. I'd reclaimed my future. Thinking back on everything, it was probably my father who brought the hammer down on Robert's life. My father is an executive at a top-tier corporation. He's well-connected, friends with presidents, CEOs, and board members across various industries. Robert's company president happened to be one of them. After learning how Robert had betrayed and mistreated me, my father must have reached out. I could almost hear the conversation now. How can we allow someone like that to continue working in our company? I don't know the exact details of what transpired behind closed doors, but word eventually reached me that Robert had resigned, voluntarily. Personally, I doubt that was the whole truth. Most likely, the president was urged to act, and Robert had no choice but to step down, an indirect consequence of the strings my father pulled. Then came the inevitable. One evening, my phone rang again. It was Robert. Hey, please help me out, he said, his voice breaking, full of desperation. He didn't sound like the man who had once smugly claimed he'd be just fine without me. Gone was the arrogance, replaced by fear and panic. I've been getting looks from my coworkers. I chose to quit and found a new job, but the salary's lower than before. I can't keep up with the mortgage on my own. Then came the accusation. It's your father, isn't it? He's the reason I lost my job. Isn't it his responsibility to keep paying the mortgage now? He's so self-centered. How much further does he need to go to feel satisfied? That was it. I'd reached my limit. You don't get to twist this into someone else's fault, I snapped. Sure, maybe my father did push your resignation. But who is the one who bought $1 million vacation house behind my back? who used our joint savings and tied my name to a mortgage without even asking me, who denied me and my family access to the very house I was paying for. You did this, Robert. You betrayed me. He didn't respond right away. His silence was louder than any words. I didn't think it would turn out like this, he mumbled finally. Well, I said, cold and clear. You reap what you sow. I hope you enjoy life in mortgage hell. You selfish jerk. Wait, please. I didn't wait for the rest. I hung up. In the months that followed, I worked with my lawyer to formally remove myself from the mortgage contract. It took time, but eventually, I was released from all obligations related to that cursed vacation house. Robert couldn't handle the payments on his own. In the end, he had no choice but to sell the villa. Unfortunately for him, the property's value had dipped below the purchase price, and the sale left him in debt. Word got around. He moved into a dingy, run-down apartment, far from the luxurious dreams he once flaunted. Even his parents, who had once boasted proudly to everyone about their exclusive mountain villa, became the subject of whispers and gossip throughout the neighborhood. The mighty had fallen. Meanwhile, I had climbed higher. I became the vice president of my father's company, building a career based on merit, dignity, and the hard-earned wisdom from my past mistakes. On weekends, I now retreat to a modest but beautiful vacation cottage, my own gift to my parents for their 60th birthday. It may not be worth $1 million, but its value lies in peace, love, and shared laughter. The three of us spend our days off there sipping coffee, enjoying the fireplace in winter, and watching the stars on clear nights. And in those quiet, golden moments, I finally feel free. Please feel free to comment below if you like this. Remember to like and subscribe for more.